The beautiful girl is seeking revenge. Have to deal with zombies every day. Only to kill her own enemies. Even threatened to give birth to her little offspring, Little B. However, what he did not expect was that a second mutated zombie appeared. After Beck Ye left the building, he encountered fleeing classmates on the roadside. Seeing that everyone was about to be buried in the mouths of zombies, he decisively drew his sword and saved the students. Beck Ye is actually you. Hello everyone, classmates. We meet again. Students only relaxed when they saw Beck Ye. They started surrounding Beck Ye and asking questions. This sword is so powerful. Where did you find it? You drove here. Can you give us a ride? Do you have any food to share with us? At that moment, Xiaoyu in the car said, It seems like Brother Ye's classmate is in trouble. Enough, all of you shut up. A loud shout. Beck Ye said that food can be given to you. But you must help me with tasks. What tasks do we need to do? Fat person, as usual, you explain it to them this time. Beck Ye is walking ahead carrying weapons. That person is shouting instructions to everyone behind, teaching them how to dig open the energy dark crystal with a gentle pull on the skull. We need to dig this out. The students were dumbfounded immediately. The timid girls even fainted directly. Brothers and sisters, don't be afraid. Zombies have fragile heads. It's easy to dig out the beads. Seeing Xiaoyu working hard to dig the dark crystal, everyone didn't know what to say either. After getting the tools, they started cleaning up the battlefield behind Xiaoyu. That person quickly collected a large bag of energy dark crystals. Beck Ye leaned on the car and quickly urged Fat Person to distribute the food. Facing the students' eager eyes, Fat Person, although reluctant, still agreed. But just then, a dark shadow fell from the sky and landed on the hood of the car. Everyone was startled by the scene before their eyes. Beck Ye realized that something was wrong. A mutated zombie ability user actually showed up. Over here, he immediately instructed everyone to flee. Little B didn't give Beck Ye any chance to react at all. It directly used its sharp claws to attack Beck Ye. With a heavy force under Beck Ye's feet, he barely dodged the attack, immediately swinging the mechanical sword to counterattack. Seeing the embarrassed Beck Ye, Roxy Lee clapped excitedly, saying, Beck Ye, I finally found you. Beck Ye was quite surprised. Roxy Lee, I can't believe you're still alive. Yes, Beck Ye, my purpose in staying alive is to watch you die. Roxy Lee smirked and ordered Little B to kill him. Beck Ye was completely caught off guard. This bitch actually got mixed up with a zombie. But Xiaoyu suddenly shouted to warn Beck Ye to be careful, because a fireball suddenly fell from the sky and hit the center of the two. Students only saw it on the roof. There was a huge figure wrapped in flames from head to toe. Only Beck Ye recognized it. This is another mutated zombie. Moreover, it is a special being with fire attributes. Roxy Lee, an ability user with fire attributes, was also very surprised when she saw it. She quickly asked Little B if this was her companion. I do not know. Just as she finished speaking, the fire ability user leaped forward and pounced towards him. The girl in front of me, selling her body to seduce zombies, just to kill her own enemy, Beck Ye. However, just moments ago, suddenly, two mutated zombies were entangled in a fight. This scene shocked everyone. At this moment, Little B is both puzzled and angry, asking, Who are you? Why are you coming at me? Then he kicked the other person out with one kick. However, the fire-type ability user is tough and resilient. He opened his mouth and spewed red flames towards Little B. My car, my teddy bear cookie. Don't worry about those. Hurry, run. Watched helplessly as the enemy Roxy Lee escaped. Quickly command Little B to intercept. Suddenly, a burst of flames rushed ahead and flew towards Xiaoyu. Fortunately, Beck Ye timely cut down a big tree to block it, which allowed Xiaoyu to escape danger. But this also separated the two groups of people. Don't stand there foolishly, hurry up and find a place to hide. There are flames ahead and pursuers behind. Beck Ye focused his attention on the underground garage. The three of them ran into it as they jogged. The ability user outside also stopped fighting. Can we have a good chat, pal? Have you also eaten a black bead and turned into this? Upon hearing this, the flame ability user clasped his head and started to wail in pain. No, I don't want to be one of those filthy rich dilettanti who tainted my body. They forced me to eat that black bead. They are all lunatics. I want to kill them all. Burn them into ashes. Little B sees the other person facing the same fate as him. Quickly persuade him to calm down. Are you both kindred spirits, or did you meet too late? Could you hurry up and go kill Beck Ye? Little B immediately expressed that he has a sharp sense of smell. Beck Ye can't run away at all. Then he discussed with the fire ability user. Let's chase after Beck Ye together and find a way to turn him back into human form. He can still turn back. Okay, I'll be with you guys. Two ability users quickly found Beck Ye, who was fleeing, and Little B with great strength threw out a sedan, completely blocking the way forward. And the fire-breathing ability user blocked the rear. Brother Ye, we are being ambushed from both sides. Roxy Lee sat in the car on the side, looking very pleased with her legs crossed. Beck Ye, don't think you can escape from the palm of my hand. Behave and accept your fate. Beck Ye didn't expect this woman to be so difficult to deal with. Things have come to this point. He could only let Fat Person and Xiaoyu hide to the side. And he had to face the two opponents alone. Little B took the lead under Roxy Lee's command. Beck Ye dodges the attack. Sees the opportunity to aim at Roxy Lee behind Little B. With a loud bang, Roxy Lee got shot in the shoulder. She, who had never been injured before, instantly screamed in pain. Take advantage of Little B looking back to check the situation. Beck Ye continues to shoot. This woman must die. Don't hurt her. Although Little B blocked most of the bullets with her body, Roxy Lee still managed to hit her with 2 shots. The unyielding Beck Ye then swung out a sword energy, while Little B could only retreat while carrying Roxy Lee. At this moment, the fire attribute ability user rushed over. As a flame ability user, his attack power is much stronger than Little B's. Facing the scorching flames, Beck Ye can only use his sword to block. Watching Beck Ye struggling in the battle, Xiaoyu realizes that he must be brave, so he takes out a small axe. With a swooshing sound, it was thrown onto the head of the ability user with the fire attribute, although the damage was not great. But it did attract the attention of this monster. Taking advantage of his distraction, Beck Ye decisively swung his sword energy, bursting the water pipe above. A large amount of cold water instantly extinguished the flames on his body. Without the flames to support him, he could only lie on the ground, moaning in pain. Beck Ye took the opportunity to rush to the front of the flame ability user. With a hard swing, he chopped off his arm. The injured flame ability user has been frightened. The Beck Ye in his eyes is simply an unbeatable god of killing. After dodging the attack with all his might, he ran to Little B without looking back. Beck Ye, I'll remember this. Next time, I'll settle the score with you. The two ability users fled in embarrassment. But Beck Ye tightly grasped the mechanical sword without daring to relax in the slightest. He only loosened his guard after confirming that they had gone far away. The weary body finally collapsed. Brother Ye, are you injured? Beck Ye shook his head. Although he knew letting the tiger return to the mountain would spell endless trouble, he never expected to encounter not just one, but 2 ability users. Brother Ye, do you know where they come from? A beautiful girl seeking revenge. Not only using her body to seduce the enemy, still fantasizing about devouring the dark crystal and becoming the leader of the zombies. Launching a devastating blow against all humanity just to kill Beck Ye. How could Beck Ye, as a mechanic, let him succeed? Just now, Beck Ye drove away 2 ability users and seriously injured Roxy Lee, and holding the heavy sword tightly without any relaxation. Not until he confirmed that they had gone far away. The exhausted body finally collapsed. Brother Ye, are you injured? Beck Ye shook his head. Although he knew that releasing the tiger back to the mountain would bring endless trouble, he didn't expect to encounter not just 1, but 2 ability users. Brother Ye, do you know where they come from? Ability users are created by humans consuming energy dark crystals, mutating into monsters. Each one is a 1 in 10,000 existence. Being able to stay rational like this is even more rare. That person is amazed. Brother Ye, how did you know these things? Let's talk about these later. Although the monster is gone, Beck Ye's heart is getting heavier. The world has changed. The apocalypse is progressing faster. To survive, we must forge stronger equipment. 3 people quickly arrived on the ground due to a vehicle malfunction. Everyone could only put on raincoats and brave the rain to move forward. At this time, Beck Ye noticed that Xiao Yu seemed to have something to say. Brother Ye, I have been to this place before. My dad's old friend lives nearby. He pointed to the mountaintop in the distance as he spoke. Is your dad's friend reliable? Xiao Yu didn't know either. But he remembered. Grandpa Zhang has a very high wall at home. And there are many computers. Beck Ye seems to have thought of something when he heard this. Have Xiao Yu lead the way immediately. Suddenly, a large wave of zombies appeared behind. Beck Ye reluctantly said, It looks like we can only fight our way through. On the other side, Roxy Lee, who was seriously injured, was struggling in pain on the bed. Roxy, I have brought all the dark crystals you wanted. Give them all to me. Little B is still hesitating. Are you sure you want to eat it? Give me the dark crystal. Give me everything. Then roll outside. It looks like Roxy Lee has completely lost her mind. Little B could only helplessly walk outside. The fire attribute ability user is now hiding in the corner from the rain. The 2 monsters began to chat like this. Did he eat? If he can successfully mutate and become one of us, he will no longer fear zombies or anyone else. He said this, and then fiercely spewed out a ball of flame. Little B, however, was much calmer than him. There is also someone like Beck Ye present. So we must cooperate together to catch him. Force him to reveal the method of transforming back to the original form. With that said, the 2 of them reached out their palms and held them tightly together. In the pouring rain, Beck Ye knocked down the last zombie, his energy nearing its limit. In front of him was a tunnel already submerged in water. Beck Ye decided to let Xiao Yu sit on a plank. He and Fat Person pushed him forward. However, halfway through, he could no longer support himself. His whole body lost balance and sank into the water. The beautiful girl seduced the zombie with her body to seek revenge together with Beck Ye. However, the plan failed and she herself was shot several times. Just as her life was hanging by a thread. Roxy Lee actually dared to imagine taking energy dark crystal, ruling over a zombie army, destroying human survival bases. Just now, Beck Ye pushed Xiao Yu forward. The next moment, Beck Ye fell into the water with a splash. Xiao Yu hurriedly shouted, Brother Ye, what's wrong with you? Meanwhile, Roxy Lee, who was hit by several bullets, collapsed in pain after taking the energy dark crystal. Purple mist surrounded her body as she knelt on the ground. At this moment, Little B was also helpless, only able to desperately shout for Roxy Lee. And at this moment, Roxy Lee's body underwent a tremendous transformation. A pair of gloomy green eyes, accompanied by waves of painful wails, veins bulging on the body. The fire attribute ability user also rushed over upon hearing the sound. The next second, a purple energy instantly blasted through the entire building. One night passed. Beck Ye slowly opened his eyes and found himself in a strange environment. He struggled with all his might to sit up. At this moment, Beck Ye realized that Xiao Yu had been guarding him all along. At this moment, Beck Ye also secretly vowed, In my past life, I failed to protect you completely. This time, I must ensure your safety. Xiaoyu, who heard the sound, drowsily opened her eyes. Seeing Beck wake up in front of her, Xiaoyu also smiled. Xiaoyu quickly explained that this was her father's friend's house. In the meantime, that person also walked in with food. Brother Ye, you finally woke up. You have been sleeping for a day and a night. Beck Ye said. It was such a storm. How did you guys carry me here? At this moment, a voice sounded. I'm also very frustrated. How did you guys get here? A student. A little girl actually managed to hike through a zombie horde. Xiaoyu shouted, Grandpa Zhang, when she saw the newcomer, and Beck Ye on the side seemed to recall something. At that time, Brother Ye fainted in the water. We didn't know what to do after pulling you out. Luckily, Grandpa Zhang saw us through the surveillance camera. Grandpa Zhang recognized me. So he drove to pick us up. We owe a lot to him this time. We didn't safely arrive here without him. Beck Ye asked in surprise. Did you see everything? And the old man with white hair did not hide it at all. Of course, I saw you chopping zombies as if you were chopping vegetables. And what's the deal with your weapon? His voice had just fallen. Beck Ye was excited to get off the bed and retrieve his weapon. The next second, he knelt down on the ground again due to lack of physical strength. It seems like wielding that sword has consumed quite a lot of your energy. I'm also very sorry that I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Han Zhang, of course. You can also call me Dr. Zhang. Beck Ye looked surprised at the moment. Dr. Han Zhang is the first person to discover energy dark crystal. He is a world-renowned expert on zombies. Now this person, who is like a god to mechanics, is standing right in front of himself. The spontaneous old man on the side chuckled and said modestly, I'm just a handyman. The title of doctor is self-proclaimed. But let's say it's for the future of humanity. Can you lend me the weapon for some research? At this moment, Beck Ye thought to himself, let it be a test. It would be even better if he is truly a godlike being. Okay, but I have something better for you to research. I can give you a live zombie to study. Upon hearing this, Han Zhang quickly led Beck Ye to get weapons. He said with a lecherous look on his face, I just used a scanner to check. I didn't mess around. But no matter what, I find it difficult to pick him up. Next second, Beck Ye effortlessly lifted the sword. The woman in front of me looks harmless, like a harmless creature. Not only pushed the classmates towards the zombie's mouth, also used her body to seduce the mutated wanderer. All of this, just to kill her enemy Beck Ye. However, he was unfortunately injured in a battle with Beck Ye. Thus his life is in danger. To save her life, she swallowed 7 energy dark crystals in one breath. The next second, an intense pain immediately spread throughout her body. Her body kept disintegrating and reconfiguring. Violent energy kept surging out of the room. Overflowing energy, forming a tornado hundreds of meters high. After several days, the storm finally subsided. Roxy Lee unexpectedly managed to survive. Moreover, she also gained the ability to control zombies. At this moment, Beck Ye in the safe house is also keeping busy, fully dedicated to creating even more powerful equipment. But at this moment, Xiaoyu discovered the whereabouts of her father. Monitoring shows that he is walking on a commercial street nearby full of zombies. Strangely, none of the zombies are attacking him. Xiaoyu can only beg Beck Ye to take her to rescue her father, considering that the zombies will soon undergo a second evolution. You must focus on making mechs. So you can only let that person bring weapons to check the situation. And confiscate the pistol obtained from the Wandering Dragon gang and have it forged into the Dark Crystal pistol. Since the blood of Fat Person has been added to these 2 weapons, he can effortlessly wield them just like Beck Ye. However, Fat Person couldn't wait to put on the raincoat, ready to make a splash. Just as he stepped out, a group of zombies surrounded him. Empowered by the magic weapon, Fat Person chopped down zombies like cutting vegetables. He quickly cleared out the zombies near the research facility. Just as he was about to move on, a massive tornado 100 meters away came towards him. This was when Roxy Lee swallowed the dark crystal, causing a strange phenomenon in the world. The doctor detected that the current wind speed has reached level 6. They had to abandon the search for Xiaoyu's father and return to the research facility. However, Fat Person brought back a live zombie to him. Seeing this scene, the doctor was very excited. He had never studied a live zombie before. At this moment, the mecha made by Beck Ye also has an initial shape. But as the torrential rain gradually disappeared, the zombies that absorbed a large amount of energy underwent secondary mutations. Bursting out directly from their skin, they could easily jump onto buildings over 10 meters high in a single leap. This is undoubtedly another disaster for those ordinary survivors. Roxy Lee, who successfully mutated, also began to manipulate a large number of zombies to attack safe houses. But at this time, the mecha made by Beck Ye is only one step away from completion. I had no choice but to let Fat Person go attract a wave of firepower first. Fat Person broke out in a cold sweat when he saw the dense crowd of zombies, even though he was holding the dark crystal weapon. It was impossible for him to eliminate all these zombies. However, in order to buy time for me, cowardly Fat Person still rushed out. Because he knew that if the zombies approached the research institute, even Beck Ye would be powerless to turn the situation around. This is the era after the outbreak of the zombie virus. Supplies are very scarce. Just one pack of instant noodles just can make a pretty girl have relations with you for free. And there are girls using their bodies to seduce mutated zombies. Just now, Beck Ye asked Fat Person to attract zombie fire alone. Hearing this, Fat Person angrily shouted at Beck Ye for treating himself as cannon fodder. But Beck Ye completely ignored him, focused only on making his own mech. Unable to do anything, Fat Person had to walk out with a stiff upper lip. When he saw the dense group of zombies outside, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. He knew he couldn't let the zombies get close to the safe house. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. A person drove off in an off-road vehicle. Just as they went out, a group of zombies rushed over. That person then took out the dark crystal energy gun and aimed. He sneered coldly. Aim for the soul with one shot. A shot was fired. With a bang, over a dozen zombies were instantly annihilated. In this way, That Person utilized his agile footwork to continuously kill zombies approaching the research institute. However, all of this was seen by Roxy Lee on the top of the tower. Little B never expected that Beck Ye would research such a powerful weapon. No matter what, he is only one person. No matter how powerful a weapon is, it is impossible to be a match for the tactic of overwhelming numbers. That person's physical condition has started to deteriorate due to using the dark crystal pistol repeatedly. And there are more and more zombies in front of him. They can't be killed. Suddenly, a ball of flame in the sky shoots directly towards the off-road vehicle driven by Fat Person. In just a moment, the car was blown over and flung dozens of meters away. And Xiaoyu and the doctor monitoring from behind are also very anxious at this moment. The next second, That Person unexpectedly stuck his head out of the car unharmed. Just as he barely emerged from the car, a fire attribute ability user appeared right in front of him. That Person gritted his teeth and said, "How dare your grandpa try to sneak attack me? This time, I won't let you get away with it." Raise the dark crystal gun directly and shoot towards the flames. Ability user easily dodges the fire from ability user, instantly spraying fire to counterattack. That Person easily leaps and avoids the attack. He immediately began shooting relentlessly at the flame ability user as soon as he escaped the attack, seeing the flame ability user hurriedly flee. At this moment, the Fat Person had already swelled up, behaving like a know-it-all, standing there grumbling. However, the next second, the Fat Person was dumbfounded. A group of zombies behind him rushed towards him like crazy. That person still wanted to continue to stop the zombies from attacking. The doctor asked him to come back quickly. Once he is surrounded by zombies, it will be impossible to retreat alive. Just when Fat Person was desperately running back, suddenly Little Bee had appeared on Fat Person's head at some point. Fat Person rolled over in a clumsy manner to dodge Little Bee's attack, fired a shot at Little Bee immediately, followed up with a slash. He never expected it. The fat person in front of him was still an agile fat person. In the end, Little Bee could only escape in embarrassment. Roxy Lee is on the signal tower. Seeing both of them fail one after another, she decides to take action personally. He gently raised his hand to release his supernatural ability to control the zombie group. He quickly pounced towards Fat Person. Fat Person killed the zombie in front of him with a knife, but the zombie's speed was too fast. He had to turn around and run. Suddenly, a zombie behind him fell from the sky. It happened to fall in front of the Fat Person, blocking his way out. The Fat Person turned his head and found that Little Bee couldn't defeat him in a one-on-one fight. But now, he is not abiding by the principles of martial arts. Throw a zombie, the Fat Person raises his gun and shoots the flying zombie. But the zombie behind him seizes the opportunity and catches up. Suddenly, a zombie fell down and grabbed the Fat Person's thigh. Just as it was about to bite the Fat Person's thigh, the Fat Person acted quickly. With a single stroke, the zombie's head was chopped off directly. There was no time to catch his breath. The group of zombies behind him had already reached him. Just as Fat Person felt that this time he was doomed to die, a huge wave of green energy surged past him. Dozens of zombies were annihilated instantly. When the Fat Person turned around and looked back, he found Beck Ye standing in front of him like a god. The beautiful girl is seeking revenge. She actually seduces the zombie with her body and seeks revenge with Beck Ye. However, the plan failed and she was shot several times. But she also found a silver lining in the misfortune. Just as her life hung by a thread, Roxy Lee actually ate 7 energy dark crystals in one go. Gained the ability to control zombies. Immediately controlled a large army of zombies to besiege Beck Ye. Beck Ye, clad in red mech armor, appeared as if a war god had descended. However, there is nothing we can do. The zombies controlled by Roxy Lee. Faced with Beck Ye, the damage is like scraping. Due to constantly controlling the army of zombies, facing Beck Ye also has no power to fight back. Without a doubt, being ruthlessly trampled on the ground by Beck Ye. Seeing this scene, Little Bee immediately jumped up and pounced on Beck Ye. However, he was punched by Beck Ye with a right hook, sending him flying through the air. Next, his left hand began to gather a gloomy green energy, aiming at Little Bee, who was still in the air. As the gloomy green energy struck Little Bee in an instant. I guess he's also about to kick the bucket, even more tenacious than this YouTuber. At this moment, the fire attribute ability user in the distance is watching everything happening in front of him with his own eyes. Even Little Bee and Roxy Lee think they can't beat Beck Ye in armor. There arose an idea of escaping in my mind. But Roxy Lee did not have such good fortune. She was captured by Beck Ye, barely clinging to life. Roxy Lee. You ate energy dark crystal, and you can still maintain your human form. Are you really the chosen one? But you must die today. As soon as the words fell, Beck Ye kept exerting force continuously. Roxy Lee also groaned in pain. Just at this critical moment, the zombie lackeys also started their second evolution. One after another, they burst out of their skin. Beck Ye couldn't help but feel a sinking feeling in his heart when he saw this scene. Even the main gate guarded by Fat Person has started to have a large number of zombies climbing over the wall and entering the base. And Roxy Lee, still in Beck Ye's hands, also sneered. None of you will survive. You will all become zombies and be my slaves. At this moment, Beck Ye also looked angry. Directly throw Roxy Lee in your hand towards the group of mourners. Immediately concentrate energy with both hands continuously. aim at the group of zombies in front and Roxy Lee. The next second, a beam of green energy shot out. Roxy Lee and the zombie minions turned directly into ashes. Beck Ye also seemed hesitant. With the blessing of the mech, he soared into the air and flew towards Fat Person. Because Fat Person at this moment not only ran out of bullets from the dark crystal handgun. A group of zombies also surrounded Fat Person in a circle, despite Fat Person fighting desperately. But the next second, the zombie minions surrounding him started bursting out one after another, evolving into first-tier zombies. Even the walls of the safe house were crawling with zombies. A Fat Person facing a first-stage evolved zombie couldn't kill it with just one slash. It only left a shallow scratch. The Fat Person is also decisive. Without any hesitation, they turned and ran upon seeing the scene. At that moment, Beck Ye also rushed over and grabbed Fat Person. At this moment, Fat Person, finally relieved, laughed at Beck Ye and said, "Brother Ye, you really can take me flying." At this time, Beck Ye couldn't be bothered to argue with Fat Person. He simply ordered Fat Person to kill all the zombies sneaking into the safe house. After entering the safe house with Fat Person, Beck Ye also said that some zombies have mutated, but they can still be dealt with by slashing them a few more times. Fat Person was also sitting on the ground panting heavily. "Brother Ye, the zombies outside are all up to you." After saying that, Beck Ye flew straight towards the wall with a swoosh. His hands kept emitting a green energy, accompanied by explosions. It can be said that one man is as good as 10,000 when standing guard. The Fat Person in the yard was still sitting on the ground, taking a lazy break. He didn't notice the zombie behind him until the zombie was less than 1 meter away from him. The Fat Person was startled, and only then did he realize that there were some zombies behind him. He casually picked up a machete and directly attacked the zombie. A zombie pierced through the Fat Person's chest. He didn't give the zombie a chance to strike back. He directly stepped on the zombie and repeatedly used a machete to hack at it. Seeing this, I thought Fat Person was just bravely fighting the enemy. The next second, Fat Person was riding on top of a zombie. He kept yelling in its mouth, telling you to attack by surprise and disturb him resting. The beautiful girl is seeking revenge. She actually seduces a zombie with her body, seeking revenge with him against Beck Ye. Unfortunately, the plan failed and she was shot several times. In critical condition, he consumed 7 energy dark crystals in one breath, although he gained the ability to control zombies. But Beck Ye in a red mecha suit is like a warrior god. The palm gently lifted and continuously gathered a dark green energy, as if to unleash a palm technique descending from the sky, directly blasting towards the group of zombies. In an instant, the zombies within dozens of meters directly turned into gray smoke. Then, the right hand condensed a gleaming green energy once again, blasting towards the group of zombies on the right side. Just one strike, and all the zombies within 100 meters in a straight line are wiped out. Even Little B is unable to inflict the slightest damage on Beck Ye, who is wearing armor. In the end, they could only meet their end here. Thought to have control over a vast army of zombies, Roxy Lee was believed to be invincible. But under the command of Beck Ye, who was clad in a mecha suit, she didn't even last a single round. In the end, she also perished under the command of Beck Ye, turning into ashes just like the zombies. With the joint efforts of Beck Ye and Fat Person, soon all the zombies near the research institute were cleaned up. All the zombies were killed. Next up is the part where the Fat Person digs for pearls. Looking at the mountains of zombie bodies in front of him, the Fat Person was momentarily at a loss. Influenced by the big shot Beck Ye, or you could say, by the art of social interaction, the Fat Person began to dig out energy dark crystals from the charred bodies one by one. And just as Beck Ye entered the gates of the research institute, he was intercepted by Dr. Han Zhang. Dr. Han Zhang loudly questioned Beck Ye about the secrets of the energy dark crystal. Beck Ye just coldly snorted and said, "Follow me." On the other side, that person is still desperately digging for the dark crystal, just to have the big shot Beck Ye create a mech for himself. Meanwhile, inside the house, Dr. Han Zhang, holding the energy dark crystal, asks in surprise, "Is this really the power source of zombies?" Yes. Once a person is infected and turns into a zombie, this energy dark crystal will form in their brain. Zombies also generate energy through a process similar to photosynthesis, gathering energy into the energy dark crystal. After speaking, Beck Ye plans to lie down and rest on the sofa. But Xiaoyu beside him seems to have something to say. But looking at the utterly exhausted Beck Ye, Xiaoyu couldn't bear to disturb him. And fat person had long been lying on the ground, panting heavily from exhaustion. Beck Ye, who woke up in the middle of the night, was also not idle. He was holding an electric welder in his hand, starting to make more powerful dark crystal equipment. Early the next morning, a brand new armored vehicle came into view inside the warehouse. That person, who saw the scene, was as happy as a 3-year-old child. Beck Ye knows himself well. That person curiously asked, "Brother Ye, is this made from the pearls I dug yesterday? Could it be that this car can also transform into a mecha?" "Stupid fatso, you're thinking too much. This is just a car. You're better off driving a car than piloting a mecha. Once you get familiar with the car, we can set off." That person asked happily at this moment, "Are we going to find Xiaoyu's father?" Xiaoyu, who saw the scene, said she also wanted to go. "Without a doubt. Beck Ye refused you by saying he doesn't have time to take care of you. You said to patiently wait for a few days. I have done that. I'll find my dad myself." At that moment, Beck Ye also roared, saying it's not possible. "If you are stubborn again, I will have the doctor tie you up in the laboratory." Xiaoyu called out to his father, with a look of grievance on his face. Even fat person couldn't bear to watch these actions. "Brother Ye, why do you always make little sister Xiaoyu cry? Even if you're not a real brother, you shouldn't do this." Beck Ye did not respond. Who could understand his feelings for Xiaoyu? Just at this moment, Dr. Zhang walked over with a repaired drone. "We can mount this drone on the car as an auxiliary device to start and increase surveillance at any time. This way, you can help with the search in the monitoring room." On the side, Beck Ye also transitioned from his previous anger. "Right. So, the dark crystal's usage can be researched in a short amount of time." After a short chat with Dr. Zhang, everyone's emotions were gradually calmed down. "Alright, fat person, we should set off now. Xiaoyu, we'll leave the aerial view to you." After saying that, fat person stepped on the gas pedal and drove straight out of the research institute. Driving the tank downhill was as easy as walking on flat ground. Then adrift, heading straight for the tunnel. The beautiful girl is seeking revenge. She seduced the zombie with her body and sought revenge with Beck Ye. Facing Beck Ye in red mech armor, who resembled a war god. Even Littleby couldn't inflict the slightest damage on Beck Ye. I thought that Roxy Lee, who can control the zombie army, would be able to compete with Beck Ye. But in front of Beck Ye in a mech suit, she couldn't even last a round. In the end, both of them died under Beck Ye in the mech suit. With the perfect coordination between Beck Ye and fat person. Cleaned up all the zombies near the research institute. Next, Beck Ye spent another night creating an armored vehicle. Unexpectedly, it became the most advanced heavy armored vehicle in the world. Not only indestructible, it can also release high-voltage electricity that can destroy everything. It can even fire a laser cannon comparable to a small nuclear bomb. That person became excited upon seeing all of this. Excitedly circling around the tank non-stop. Even in a Marvel movie, he had never seen such a cool car. Xiaoyu knew that they were going to find her father. She hoped that she could also go out with us. Beck Ye decisively refused. Because most of the zombies outside have evolved now. It's very easy for him to encounter danger if he goes out. Xiaoyu was very sad after hearing his words. He is very worried about his father's uncertain fate outside. At this time, Dr. Jean walked in holding a drone. He also thought it was too dangerous for Xiaoyu to go out, so he modified a drone for him using the dark crystal. This would allow Xiaoyu to control the drone remotely to investigate the situation. When he heard that he could help, Xiaoyu finally became happy. Beck Ye couldn't help but praise Dr. Han Zhang for researching the method of using energy dark crystal in such a short period of time. He is indeed the same famous Han Zhang from the previous life. To be absolutely safe, Beck Ye then placed the mecha on the tank. After everything was ready, Beck Ye and Fat Person left the research institute in the car. Fat Person immediately stepped on the gas pedal all the way, driving recklessly. The hard metal shell showed not a single scratch. The cars on the side of the road were crushed effortlessly, as if they were tofu. Soon the tank drove to the luxurious commercial street where Xiaoyu's father had visited. At this moment, they heard noises, and immediately a group of zombies surrounded them. Immediately, they all rushed and jumped onto the armored vehicle, continuously banging on the tank. They even used their disgusting faces to block the front windshield. That person directly started cursing loudly. At this moment, Beck Ye silently pressed a button in the car. Immediately, the car body emitted a sizzling sound of electricity. The next second, a powerful high-voltage electric current instantly turned the zombies into ashes. Even the fat person in the car was stunned and speechless by this scene. This is too powerful. Beck Ye then instructed Fat Person to drive to the next location. Since the zombies here have all evolved, there should be no survivors nearby. Beck Ye and Fat Person are unaware that all of this is being observed by a well-dressed man. A bigger crisis is quietly approaching. Fat Person drove for a long time without finding any clues. So Xiaoyu remotely operated the drone to check the situation nearby. And at this moment, Fat Person, who was like a smart person, honked the horn. In this way, trying to attract other survivors to come over. Maybe we can find Xiaoyu's father. No doubt. All the zombies around were attracted by his trumpet sound. Also woke up Beck Ye, who hadn't slept for days. Beck Ye almost picked up a wrench and killed Fat Person right there. Beck Ye let Fat Person take the opportunity to familiarize himself with the weapons on the war vehicle. After he pressed a button, the spikes popped out from the wheels on both sides in an instant. Once the poor zombie touched them, it would be ground into meat stuffing directly. As he pressed another button again, 2 beams of energy laser shot out from the front of the car in an instant. The power of the explosion was almost as strong as a mini nuclear bomb. The sleazy Fat Person had never seen such a scene before. His mouth opened wider than his head. Only poor people drive Maybachs. Real men should drive mechas. At just 18 years old, Beck Ye is the only mechanic on Earth. Not only can he handcraft futuristic technological warships and the most powerful Doomsday mecha on Earth, he also handcrafted a safe and high-performance armored vehicle. Not only can it release high-voltage electricity that destroys everything, it can even shoot a laser cannon comparable to a small nuclear bomb. It also comes with drifting, roaring like a wild beast breaking free from its cage. Just now, Beck Ye and Fat Person arrived at the street where Xiaoyu's father had been seen. At this moment, they heard noises, and a group of zombies immediately surrounded them. Immediately, they all rushed and jumped onto the armored vehicle, constantly pounding on it. A powerful high-voltage current instantly made the zombie ashes scattered. Even the Fat Person in the car was stunned with his mouth agape. This is too amazing. Beck Ye continued to have the Fat Person drive to the next location. Since all the zombies here have evolved, there should be no survivors nearby. The Fat Person stepped on the gas pedal all the way and charged straight ahead. The hard metal. There wasn't a scratch left on the outer shell. The cars on the side of the road were crushed like tofu with ease. After walking for a long time, there were no signs of any trace. So Beck Ye let Xiaoyu remotely control the drone to check the situation nearby. But the next second, Fat Person, this cutie, unexpectedly honked the horn a few times, provoking the group of zombies The zombies around felt like they were insulted as never before. They rushed over desperately. That person took the opportunity to familiarize themselves with the equipment and weapons on the war chariot. After he pressed a button, the spikes on both sides of the wheels popped out instantly. Poor zombies, once they touch them, will be minced into meat filling directly. As he pressed another button again, the car instantly shot out 2 beams of energy. The power of the laser explosion rivaled that of a small nuclear bomb. The creepy fat person had never seen such a scene before. His mouth was even bigger than his head. The fat person, who had just recovered from his astonishment, pressed another button again. The front of the armored vehicle transformed instantly into a combination of a bulldozer and a shredder. Let's call it the zombie harvester for now. Not only can it completely crush zombies one by one, but the intelligent system of the armored vehicle is also more powerful. The fat person was also very surprised as he kept looking at the screen, where dark crystals kept popping up. Brother Ye, you know me too well. Also install the zombie dark crystal automatic separator for me. Just then, Xiaoyu spotted her own father's car. That person didn't dare to waste any words and quickly hurried over under Xiaoyu's guidance. But Xiaoyu discovered through the drone that there was no one in the car, predicting that her own father might have met with an accident on his way back. Xiaoyu, who was already feeling unwell, saw the scene and fell into unconsciousness again. That person was also not found in the abandoned car, nor any useful information. Beck Ye suggests going to Pui Hospital first to find some medicine to treat Xiaoyu's illness. As soon as the words fell, the two of them drove an armored vehicle to the hospital. Soon, the two arrived at Pui Hospital, just as they reached the entrance. That person was scared by the 8-character true words in front of him, and cold sweat streamed down. Beck Ye directly put on the mecha. On the side, that person also cursed angrily. This hospital has been taken over. At this time, Beck Ye walked over from behind. It's not surprising that the hospital, as a strategic location, has been occupied. Let's grab our stuff and leave. The two of them broke in directly, arriving at the hospital lobby. That person looked puzzled, wondering why there was no one around. There wasn't even a zombie in sight. Due to the hospital being large, Beck Ye could only separate from Fat Person to search for medical equipment and medicine. That person walked alone. The hospital corridor was unusually quiet, with the smell of disinfectant lingering in the air. Fat Person couldn't help but shiver. When Fat Person was still wondering that the smell was not the scent of disinfectant but of fruit, unaware that they had been poisoned. The next moment, Fat Person collapsed. Meanwhile, Beck Ye on the other side called out to Fat Person, but received no response, completely unaware that Fat Person had collapsed due to poisoning. Beck Ye thought that Fat Person had gone off to deceive and play tricks again. The next second, Beck Ye also smelled this familiar fragrance. He felt a sense of unease in his heart. Take the opportunity. Also put on the self-equipped gas mask of the mecha. Immediately gathered energy with the left hand aiming at the ceiling. With a loud bang, the ceiling was smashed to pieces. And there was still a lingering purple poison gas in the air. At this moment, Beck Ye seemed to have confirmed his thoughts. Yelling, "Fat Person," as if about to run out of the hospital. In the corner of his eye, he seemed to see a figure, just as Beck Ye was about to lower the mecha's iron fist. The iron fist suddenly stopped in front of the young lady in the protective suit. In this era of global zombie virus outbreak, just a pack of instant noodles can make the girl fall for you for free. Even more so, pretty girl does not hesitate to use her body to seduce mutated zombies, only to kill her own enemy, Beck Ye. And Beck Ye also went through several rounds of bitter struggles before sending Roxy Lee to meet Hades, just while looking for medical equipment and medication for Xiaoyu. Encountered again the dreaded dense cloud of poisonous gas from a past life. Beck Ye relies on the memories of his past life and his identity as a mechanic to resolve these troubles. Also found the genius doctor of medicine Tang for Xiaoyu. Just as the group was about to return to the research institute, they encountered the mutant beast that was supposed to appear only a few years before Doomsday. Even Beck Ye, who was a mechanical engineer, couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. Even when Beck Ye put on his mech suit, he couldn't help but emit beams of worry. He couldn't even harm the mutant beast at all. Instead, such behavior only angers the mutant beast even more. Beck Ye can only keep dodging the attacks when he sees this situation. To cover the retreat of Fat Person and Tang, he even engaged in close combat with the mutant beast. As Fat Person and Tang got farther away, Beck Ye began to go all out. In each attack, he found the root of the problem. So when the mutant beast pounced again, Beck Ye didn't confront it directly but dodged to the side. Then quickly reach out and grab the ribbon, pulling it off with force. With a roar, the huge body of the beast collapsed to the ground. The previous moment, the imposing mutant beast. The next moment, it was as limp as Zhu Beiji, who had just eaten his fill, lying on the ground. Beck Ye didn't give mutant beast a chance to counterattack at all. He directly executed a set of palm techniques descending from the sky. He fiercely struck mutant beast on the head. Immediately after, he raised the mecha iron fist high. Just then, there was a sound from the eye socket. The head of the mutant beast was directly killed with blood and flesh flying around. Then what came into sight was the super large energy dark crystal, or rather, mutant beast core. Beck Ye immediately pulled it out. Seeing that it was artificially modified and implanted into the beast, a chill rose in his heart. However, with this mutant beast core, he could now create even stronger weapons. What Beck Ye did not notice was that everything here was being watched by a man in black clothes. Nevertheless, after dealing with everything, Beck Ye did not dare to stay any longer. He immediately contacted Fat Person, thinking about resolving the crisis and having Fat Person come back to pick him up. However, due to Fat Person running too far, the signal simply could not connect. I thought Beck Ye would have to walk back to the research by himself. I only heard a sound of searching. Beck Ye, wearing a red mecha suit, actually relied on the mecha to achieve the dream of flying in the air that every YouTuber dreams of. But when Beck Ye was floating in the air, his face instantly became serious. Just then, a young man in a suit with blonde hair and green eyes appeared in front of him. There was also a hint of a zombie's foul smell emanating from him. Just as the man was about to say hello to Beck Ye, he didn't even finish his sentence. Beck Ye immediately emitted a beam of green energy with his left hand, but the target disappeared instantly. Seeing this scene, Beck Ye could not help but break out in a cold sweat. A man in black suddenly appeared on the rooftop of a distant apartment building. Don't be so impulsive. Perhaps you have some bias against ability users, but I don't mean any harm. However, as Beck Ye, who has been reborn, knows the evil of ability users, he immediately shot a beam of energy light. What was unexpected was that the man in black easily dodged it, even jumping directly onto Beck Ye's mech. Beck Ye, who was insulted, directly grabbed him in his hand. The man in black said he is a member of the Shadow Organization. He came today just to deliver a message. I have also been tasked to recruit talents like Beck Ye. The next sentence hasn't been said yet. Beck Ye was already caught by a large amount of fresh blood. The next second Beck Ye saw his empty palm. Realizing that this was just an ability user with a body replacement ability, his strength was weak, he was just a mortal. Beck Ye never expected that this was just the early stage of the apocalypse. The Shadow Organization had already been formed. In that case, he could only prepare for the worst now. In the world 50 years after the apocalypse, the strongest organization is the Shadow Organization, which not only possesses vast resources, but also gathers elites from all walks of life. They plan to use modified ability users to unify the world. On the other side, Fat Person and Tang also ran back to the Research Institute. When Tang saw the Research Institute in front of him, he couldn't help but marvel at how such an ordinary place could produce armored vehicles and mechs. Fat Person instantly felt that the woman in front of him seemed like a fool. She seemed to be clueless about everything in the post-apocalyptic era, just following the two strong men. Tang claimed that he had a keen eye for judging people. At this time, Dr. Hanzhong also walked out. Unexpectedly, Beck Ye really managed to find a doctor. However, Tang instantly turned into a socialization badass. Are you the doctor who makes mechs and tanks? In this global era of zombie virus outbreak, just a pack of instant noodles. It can make girls have a free relationship with you. Even more pretty girls are willing to use their bodies to seduce mutant zombies, only to kill their own enemy, Beck Ye. And Beck Ye also went through several rounds of fierce battles before sending Roxy Lee to meet Hades. Just when looking for medical equipment and medicine for Xiaoyu, encountered the dreaded dense cloud of poisonous gas from a past life once again. However, Beck Ye, relying on memories from his past life and his identity as a mechanic, skillfully resolves these troubles one by one. Also, Xiaoyu found the genius doctor of medicine Tang with Beck's help. Just as the group was preparing to return to the research institute, they encountered a mutant beast that only appears in the later stages of the apocalypse. Beck Ye relied on his 50 years of battle experience. And with the most advanced mecha, they finally defeated the mutant beast. Just as Beck Ye was on his way back, he encountered envoys from the Shadow Organization. With a single strike from Beck Ye, a beam of worry-colored light shot out. The emissary from the Shadow Organization easily dodged it. He even jumped onto Beck Ye's mecha to provoke a confrontation. Beck Ye didn't waste any words either, directly grabbing him in one go. A little force caused a large amount of fresh blood to burst out. On the other side, Fat Person and Tang also returned to the research institute. A serious doctor. And finally, a serious doctor meets an unserious doctor. First meeting. Tang didn't hide his admiration for the old scientist in front of him at all. There was admiration in every gesture. A series of praises made Dr. Zhang feel very humble. Tang was a name he had heard of before. It had been published in scientific journals. This youngest genius virology PhD. Faced with the praise of a real PhD, Dr. Zhang could only scratch his head awkwardly. But he did not expose Beck Ye's lie. Since Beck Ye told Tang that the mecha was made by himself, there must be a reason for his lie. From another perspective, in any case, Beck Ye is also unwilling to tell himself all the secrets of the Dark Crystal. Why not research together with Tang instead? Thinking to this point, Dr. Zhang suddenly gained confidence. While welcoming Tang, he also confirmed the collaboration between the two. However, before the research begins, we still need Dr. Tang to lend a hand. In the Research Institute ward, Tang conducted a detailed examination of Xiaoyu's various physical indicators. After going out, he made an okay gesture to the anxious doctoral student waiting at the door. The old man's mind was filled with countless thoughts in that moment. He looked at the serious doctoral student and thought, "Wow, a serious illness like this can be handled by people like him." Wait a minute, Dr. Tang. Is this what you mean by okay? Tang was almost knocked out by anger. What I meant by okay is that he probably has at most 3 months left. I have seen countless cases of the same symptoms. He is the only one who can hold on for so long. Conventional medical methods nowadays simply cannot help her. Unless we use this. Speaking, Tang once again took out the beads in his hand. Under specific conditions, this bead will emit abnormal energy. This energy will trigger the regeneration of surrounding cells and build new forms. As long as we control this energy, there is hope for Xiaoyu's condition. This is also the topic we will be researching next. Dr. Zhang believes the energy that Tang mentioned must be truly existing. Those ability users who have consumed Dark Crystal, haven't they just confirmed this fact? But if the research fails, won't Xiaoyu directly turn into a monster? So there are two options in front of me. Either watch Xiaoyu die, or try to seize a lifeline in the last 3 months. On the other side, after Fat Person put away Tang's bottles and jars, he planned to go out to look for Beck Ye. And Tang's words really surprised Fat Person. If you want to cure Xiaoyu's illness, you must bring Xiaoyu's dad back. At this moment, Beck Ye is enduring the scorching summer heat on the rooftop, heading back home. Because the weather is too hot, Beck Ye is starting to feel agitated at this moment. He keeps cursing Fat Person's ancestors, wondering why they haven't come to pick him up yet. Beck Ye determinedly thinks to himself, "Damn, it's too hot. Even if I don't get eaten by zombies, I might just die from the heat." He leaps forward to find some water to cool down directly. Before long, Beck Ye stops in front of a large shopping mall. When Beck Ye breaks into the window and enters, he is attracted by a strange sound. Looking around, apart from several zombie bodies drifting on the pool surface, nothing else is found. Suddenly, a figure flashes past Beck Ye's peripheral vision. Beck Ye fires a bright green beam without hesitation, blasting the obstacle blocking his sight into pieces. Immediately into view is a 30-meter-tall monster. In this era of a global zombie virus outbreak, 95% of humans have been infected and turned into zombies. And the remaining 5% of humans are even more inhuman. For a packet of instant noodles, they directly tortured the 12-year-old girl to death. Let's call them scum for now. Beck Ye is the only mechanic in this post-apocalyptic world. Now, in order to find water to drink, one has to brave the scorching summer heat, constantly shuttle between skyscrapers just to reduce zombie attacks. Along the way, there are constant curses hurled at the ancestors of Fat Person for not coming to pick oneself up. However, Fat Person is currently playing the role of a hero saving the beauty. Originally, after he put down the supplies and medical equipment. Just as he hurried to meet Beck Ye, he encountered a beautiful woman surrounded by zombies on the way. Upon closer inspection, isn't this the woman who was previously held captive by the Wandering Dragon Gang, the one who sold herself? After Beck Ye took care of the Wandering Dragon Gang at that time, a girl quietly escaped on her own. Unexpectedly, she ran here. It just happened to give Fat Person a chance to play the hero and rescue her. He is most skilled at being a hero. The defense system is fully activated. The high-voltage electric grid on the car body crackles. The zombies die on contact, and are injured if they touch it. They forcefully cleared a path for escape. The girl, seeing this, quickly got into the car. It was obvious that she was quite frightened. She didn't even recognize Fat Person at first. Seeing this, Fat Person quickly reassured them not to be afraid. "Let me introduce myself, I'm from the invincible Doomsday Rescue Team." Fat Person was still immersed in the hero saving the beauty moment. Beck Ye was completely unaware that he was in big trouble at the moment. To be honest, Beck Ye's luck is really bad. He definitely has the physique that attracts monsters. Just now, Beck Ye, who was looking for water to drink, found a large shopping mall. So he jumped into the shopping mall to look for supplies. Did not expect to not find the supermarket in the mall. Instead, he encountered a big eel. The degree of bad luck is really like having a toothache while drinking cold water. The big eel is 5 zong in length, with a head as big as a cow. Upon discovering Beck Ye, it immediately activated the ambush mode. Just as it was about to succeed, its big mouth was unexpectedly blocked by a pair of iron arms, preventing it from biting down any further. If it hadn't run fast, Beck Ye would definitely have given it a massage with his hands. After a fierce battle, Beck Ye continuously emitted green light beams, eventually managing to knock down the loach. At this moment, a red figure appeared on the head of the giant loach, gradually separating from the monster. The next second, he suddenly stood up and faced Beck Ye. Light faintly shone out from the hollow eye sockets. Beck Ye's entire body froze in place, unable to move. The creature, upon seeing this scene, seemed to retaliate. It swung its tail and flung him away. The whole right leg was entangled by the opponent and slowly dragged into the water. So far, the body still couldn't move. At this moment, Beck Ye only realized that he was careless today. Maybe he would really die here. If That Person were here, the outcome might be different. At this moment, a strong vibration accompanied by a loud noise came. 2 green lights pierced through the wall, hitting the head of the giant catfish directly. Following closely behind is a cool-looking Batmobile. Brother Ye, are you okay? The invincible Doomsday rescue team is here. Surrender now. The moment the catfish saw the Batmobile, it already had the idea of running away. At this moment, Beck Ye, who had just recovered, punched the catfish in the waist. The pain made it step back repeatedly, creating a certain distance between both sides. Beck Ye did not pursue the attack, but calmly stared at the opponent and shouted loudly, "That person, if this monster stares at me, use the laser gun to blast it." Then Beck Ye shot out 2 rays of anxious light with both hands. Shoot quickly forward. Hit the giant catfish right in the abdomen. The huge body fell to the ground in a slump. The humanoid creature on top struggled to lift its head, making a hissing sound like a snake. It seemed to still be expressing dissatisfaction towards Beck Ye. The next moment, a big hand firmly pressed him to the ground. It asked if the shadow organization sent you to kill me. Unexpectedly, the guide who was originally pressed to the ground obediently went crazy upon hearing the words, "Shadow organization." He began to struggle desperately, making incoherent sounds, saying, "No, I won't go back, don't make me go back," while everyone was puzzled. The sound caught the attention of the beauty beside the fat person. Unexpectedly, the cause of the apocalypse was not someone starting the Third World War. It was caused by this small bead, bringing about the crisis of the apocalypse. But at the same time, it is also the key to the advancement of human technology. This time, Beck Ye finally made a decision. He revealed the secret buried in his heart to everyone. Just now, Beck Ye was pressed down in the water by a giant loach and almost drowned. At a critical moment, that person arrived just in time to help resolve the situation. After being rescued, Beck Ye had a fierce expression, his emotions on the verge of exploding. Just as he was about to take the life of the big loach, who had been pressed to the ground obediently, the loach suddenly went crazy. It started struggling vigorously and making incomprehensible sounds. When everyone was confused, this sound caught the attention of the beauty next to fat person. He trembled as he got off the car. "Are you Annie?" The mutated creature paused upon hearing a familiar voice. Seems to have regained a bit of sanity. Lena heard the other person shout out her name. The prostitute's legs softened, and she knelt before the mutated creature. In an instant, her thoughts were endless. She couldn't understand it no matter how hard she tried. How did her once elegant and cultured sister become what she is now? They have never done anything wrong. Yet, they endure unbearable pain. Facing this cruel world, they are unable to make the slightest impact. The only comfort they can find is in embracing each other. Painful relatives reappear. Annie gradually regains her sanity and unravels many mysteries for everyone. It turns out that after the virus outbreak, he was unfortunately taken away by the Shadow Organization. He was met with endless experiments and alterations, ultimately leading to his current appearance. Unable to endure it any longer, he found an opportunity to escape. However, he was still discovered by the Shadow Organization and was chased by a large dog they sent after him. I'm sure this large dog is the one that Beck Ye just dealt with. Later, Beck Ye passed by here, and he still had some scent of the big dog on him. That's why he got ambushed by Annie. Xiao Yu listened to the story and felt pity for their tragic encounter. Annie immediately interceded on behalf of Beck Ye, even inviting them to visit the research institute to understand the situation. After learning the reasons, Beck Ye's anger had diminished by half. With Xiao Yu also pleading, there was nothing more to be said. They could only silently hold the Shadow Organization accountable for this crisis. Soon, the group set out on the road back to the research institute. Soon, the 2 doctors in the research institute were looking at the huge mutated creature in front of them. They fell into deep thought one after another. Inside the research institute, Lena was still recounting the tragic experience of the 2 sisters. During the time that Annie was taken away by the Shadow Organization, no one knew how much hardship she had endured, how much suffering she had experienced. But from the moment she entered the research institute, her life would start anew. The way people looked at them also changed from initial shock to anger, and finally turned into pity. Lena continued to tell her story about the situation after she escaped from the Wandering Dragon gang. After escaping, she received help from a middle-aged man who not only took her around to search for food, but also got her a cloak stained with zombie blood and flesh. This allowed her to conceal herself among the zombie horde. Just recently, this person suddenly left and has not appeared again. The person you are talking about is named Harrison Yaoyu. You said excitedly. Yes, yes. Getting a positive response from Lena. Xiaoyu suddenly lost control of her emotions and fainted on the ground. That person is extremely worried. He immediately asked Beck Ye if he wanted to go look for him now. Unexpectedly, this time Beck Ye directly denied it. And he said that he would start upgrading his mecha as soon as possible. And he would enhance the defense facilities around the research institute. At this moment, Dr. Zhang couldn't help but ask Beck Ye, "What exactly are you going to fight against? You should explain it to us." That person on the side also quickly followed up, saying that if Beck Ye has any goals or intentions, it's better to speak out. Everyone can help together. In case of any accidents, others can also help him accomplish it. Upon hearing this, Beck Ye seemed to instantly sober up. Can you believe it? The cause of the apocalypse is not someone initiating the Third World War. Instead, it's the crisis of the doomsday caused by this tiny bead. But at the same time, it is also the key to the advancement of human technology. This time, Beck Ye finally made a decision. He revealed the secret hidden in his heart to everyone. Just then, Dr. Zhang couldn't help but speak up. Beck Ye, what exactly are you going to confront? You should explain it to us. In addition, the fat person beside also immediately spoke up, saying, Brother Ye, if you have any goals, it's better to say it. We can help each other out. If something unexpected happens, others can also help you accomplish it. Upon hearing this, Beck Ye seemed to be instantly awakened. His reincarnation mission is not just about revenge. It is also the hope for all mankind to fight against the Shadow Organization. Perhaps one day, he will indeed encounter an accident, but the battle against the Shadow Organization in this endless doomsday era must be carried out by someone. At this point, Beck Ye finally stops hiding and lays out all the secrets in his heart. Looking at the people on the sofa, Beck Ye said, I am a person who traveled back from 50 years in the future. That person looked surprised and said, Time travel. I always felt that Brother Ye was not like an ordinary person. A high school student in their teens is so mature. And killing zombies is as easy as cutting vegetables for him. The two doctors were also very emotional. Can time travel really be achieved in the future? It's unbelievable that humans can survive for 50 years after the apocalypse. The source of everything is still the energy dark crystal. While this is the origin of disaster, it is also the key to technological advancement. However, after the virus appeared, it will sweep the earth in a few years. 90% of people unfortunately become zombies. Later, some talented individuals studying black crystals to resist the zombie virus. 50 years later, the time machine finally appeared. It can operate within the range of black crystal energy radiation and achieve consciousness transfer in spacetime. In other words, the time machine can only transmit people's consciousness to the period when the zombie virus outbreak occurred. Therefore, it cannot prevent the virus outbreak. In a past life, Doctor, you also researched the ingredients of dark crystal. They are not elements found on Earth. We speculate that the most likely origin is extraterrestrial. That person looked incredulous. Could this be an alien invasion of Earth? Perhaps. If that's really the case, aliens may have completely overrun humanity. Undoubtedly, they would emerge victorious. 50 years after the virus outbreak, there were few humans left on Earth. Nevertheless, humanity was killing each other for resources. Almost all members of my organization have been killed. In the end, only I can carry out the last mission of the organization. Go back in time. Save humanity. Destroy the Shadow Organization after I cross over. My companions will be responsible for blowing up the entire laboratory, burying the traces of the time machine. It can be said to be a desperate move. Now someone has accelerated the spread of the zombie virus. Presumably, this is why the Shadow Organization is growing so fast. So it is not difficult to guess that someone from the Shadow Organization has also crossed over. At this time, Tang issued a sole interrogation. You tell us about your background. So, can we be your companions in the future? Beck Ye had no idea how to answer at this time, because he was unsure as well. Beck Ye then continued to Tang. Have you researched the characteristics of the zombie virus? Yes. I have said that our survival is simply a miracle. Because of the virus spread. It's not just getting infected after being bitten by a zombie. In fact, this virus spreads through the air. Upon hearing this, that person and Dr. Zhang's hearts were instantly gripped with apprehension. Does that mean we will also be affected? So I said, we are all chosen ones. Our bodies have already developed resistance to viruses in the air. But there's no guarantee that we won't mutate after being bitten by a zombie. So we still need to be careful of these mutated zombies. Although we are immune to viruses spread in the air, it is not absolutely safe. The genius girl got drunk alone late at night. The appetizer turned out to be a head that had been bitten off by zombies. The Shadow Organization's plan to completely wipe out humanity is still accelerating. And Beck Ye's narration continues. Since the Shadow Organization has also traveled back, they will try every means to speed up the efficiency of virus transmission. What is known now is that the efficiency of zombie mutation has increased several times. The probability of ordinary people transforming into ability users has also increased to a certain extent. In addition, ability beasts and mutant beasts are all creations of the Shadow Organization. And at this moment, that person is still clueless. Since Brother Yi knows that the Shadow Organization has a way to control the zombie virus and a time machine, why not go back in time to save humanity? I have to regretfully inform everyone that the Shadow Organization only does everything except saving humanity. In their eyes, ability users are considered a higher existence than humans. Their only goal is to destroy humanity, to establish a world ruled by ability users. After listening to these, Dr. Zhang also talked about his research during this period. A few days ago, when Beck Ye and Fat Person were looking for Little Moon's father from the car accident, they found many small boxes the size of palms. The two guessed that these might be the medicine Xiaoyu uses to treat the disease. So they brought some back. After researching, it was found that the ingredients of these drugs are similar to dark crystal. And when dark crystal combines with them, it shows quite an active performance, as if it were a catalyst for dark crystal. Does the loss of acceleration mutation have anything to do with this? In other words, if this drug is really a catalyst for dark crystal, then who is Xiaoyu's dad? And what is the relationship with the Shadow Organization? A series of questions were thrown out. Everyone thought about it for a long time and had no clue. It was decided to focus on completing the current task first. 3 gentlemen began to add defense facilities to the research institute. Tang is helping Xiaoyu recover from illness. In the evening, Xiaoyu woke up groggily from the sickbed. She walked to the laboratory corridor and found that the lab lights were still on. At that moment, Tang, who was wearing a coat, was alone leaning on the lab bench, chatting as if talking to an old friend while drinking and sharing something. Tang, a little tipsy from the alcohol, kept sighing. He came to the research institute hoping to solve some of his problems, but now found that the problems were only increasing. When Xiaoyu approached, he turned slowly. He didn't expect that despite his petite stature, Xiaoyu had a well-proportioned figure. He looked at Xiaoyu and smiled happily. You heard everything, didn't you? Yes, I'm chatting with him, he said. He reached out his right hand and gently stroked the glass jar in front of him. It was such a gentle gesture. As if he was caressing the face of a lover. This guy is my childhood sweetheart. One who has been rejected countless times. Still, he comes licking my boots. He is a presumptuous fool. A simple-minded good guy. Clearly doesn't like being a doctor, but still sacrifices everything for me. Fool is just a fool like that. When I was being chased by zombies, only he stayed back to cover me. Gave up hope of survival by themselves. When someone plagiarizes my research results, only he stood in front of me to speak up for me. To prove for me. After he was infected, he kept fighting with the zombies. However,